Hello, and welcome to an episode of D&D Darlings, where we discuss the NPCs and written characters that make the campaign with.
Hi, I'm DM Shelby and owner of this page. Today we're going to be talking about my infamous NPCs, Cara and Clara, my shop twins that show up just when you need them.
Ooh, I love their name. I love they give a little good a ring to it. Why don't you give us a little bit more background on Cara and Clara? Who are they, and what is their role in your campaigns?
Cara and Clara are my two twins that run the shops in my games. They originally came to me when I first started doing like Dungeons and Dragons. It was like I think my second year in, and I was doing this big Pride campaign. And it was a home game because I still hadn't really dipped my toes into like being a professional yet. So I made this huge game around a Pride parade that was trying to get ruined by some really crappy gnomes. And then when like there was Attack of the Karens, but the players had to go on a shopping trip, and that's where they met our twins, Cara and Claire, who are about as self-inserty as I will get, I think, when I run my games. They kind of show the two facets of my personality. They weren't intended that way, but a few of my players over the years have said they see my personality in these two characters. There is Cara, who runs the weapons and devices side of the shop. So if you need something that's going to go boom, or something that's going to hurt someone, or something that's just going to give you a little enhancement, you go to her. She is dressed up in the pansexual flag colors, and she's got kind of a grittier voice. She's much more outgoing. She's much more out there. She loves to crack jokes, play pranks. She always has her two goggles on. She's messy. Clara is her more pretty and preen sister. She's always wearing lovely dresses and gowns. She loves being feminine, and she is in the bisexual colors, which is what I personally identify as. When I was figuring out my queer identity, I bounced between pansexual and bisexual for a very long time before I settled in on bisexual. And I think that's how they ended up taking a little bit of my personality from them. There are times, especially as a DM, where I am just like Cara. I'm loud, I'm crazy, I'm having a good time. But people that know me in my personal life know me a little bit more softer, like Clara, and that's my soft side. That's I show there. And they have traveled with me since as dimension hoppers because look, making shopkeeper sucks because you always gotta try to like fit the situation. I don't mind making them, but it's become a funny joke that the twins somehow just end up in dimensions, bring the players what they need, and they've actually become a well welcomed character set that the players that are follow me a lot have become familiar with and love.
Ooh, we love that. We love that. We love that you put some personality of yourself into these characters.
Mm-hmm.
A little sprinkle of DM Montism,
Mm-hmm.
if I may say so myself. So these characters seem very intricate and well thought out. What is their background for these characters?
It's it's pretty extensive. When I got married to my husband Robert, when we did our big wedding, we decided to do our game as a D&D campaign at as a local board game store at the time. And I played Clara because I felt more akin to her as I got older. Cara was definitely more me, like when I was a teenager and in my early 20s. And as I entered my late 20s and got to my 30s, I'm much more Clara. And they play these roles of, they are kind of these interdimensional beings that help my players that jump from my one shots. So they still have that cohesive story because they give them missions, they give them purpose, and at the same time, they have become like a part of a family for some of the characters because you always feel very welcome to see them again. But they are technically two fallen goddesses who just like adventuring through the different universes just to see what new stories they can get involved in and how they can tweak them just a little bit.
Ooh, so they're little goddesses. With them being goddesses, I am assuming they take center stage a lot.
No, as much as important as they are, and as deeply involved in my personal story they are, it's too politely say this. I don't ever want them becoming what is called a DM PC. They are always going to be a DM NPC. That's how I can kind of explain it. Do I need to explain the two differences for the audience here?
Actually, thank you for mentioning that. That flows into my next question very easily. So, what's the difference between a DM NPC and a
DM.
NDM PC?
So a DM PC is a character that the DM controls that actually joins the party and goes on their adventures and would essentially be a playable character just like all of the PCs are, which is our playable characters, and all my audience here. that's what they control, and they can actually affect the story, they can make choices, and they act as like a playable character for the DM to step into the world themselves. DM NPCs are, of course, non playable characters. So they're really meant to just be fodder for the story. It's to push the story along. They act as plot hooks, they act as little things here and there. Very rarely will they go with the adventuring party just because they're meant to be a plot hook. They're not meant to take the stage, become a main character. For me, that's why I don't really do DM PCs. I never want to take the stage from my players. And that is the controversy between having the two. Now, is there possibly successful campaigns out there with other DMs that are able to do that? I'm sure some people have done it very well. In my experience, it has made the players feel like they don't have choices. So for me, I make sure that as much as I love these characters, as much lore as they have been given from both the players and me, they will always just be plot hooks, ways to push the story, way to give background, but they will never become characters that can control the story from the actual players. Because if I wanted to do that, then I need to write a book. When the day becomes where they make decisions that will just take away the choice from the players, I need to step back, take them out, and write a book. And I also have to be okay if my players decide to kill them, because that's where their story ends, and I don't get to decide when that ends. I might, but players are chaotic after all.
You did mention right now that players will try to kill them. How would you feel if when they do attempt to kill them or when they attempt to overthrow them in the game?
Um, this is why we called this little episode the D&D Darlings kind of series. D&D Darlings comes from the joke that all writers I think are very familiar with: always be ready to kill your darlings, which means always be ready to kill the things that you love most in your stories, because sometimes it needs to be done to make the story good. Now, have I padded out my two characters? They are very powerful, but I do run games that have level 20 characters, level 15, level 16. Usually the characters are so beloved at this point, the only way to take them out would be to gang up on them, as a party should, as a group of people go together. But they could still outsmart them, they could still banish them, they could still disintegrate them. There's so many options, and most of my players have learned to love these. I have many characters that have found them endearing and fun throughout the years, but there might become a time where there is a fundamental disagreement. I currently have a player that is acting as a dimension hopper that is at odds with the twins. It might result in her killing them. And I'm okay with it because it makes a good story. And as much as I love these twins, as much as they have become a huge part of my career, if it makes the story better for my player, if it brings a good ending, a good beginning, a good anything, I'm always ready to let my darlings die.
Thank you for that peek into your D&D darlings, Cara and Clara. Till next time.
Be ready to always kill your darlings. Bye bye.